Throughout history, humanity has been confronted with the horrors of slavery. Yet in the shadows of Brazil's colonial past, a unique and chilling system emerged, a sinister practice that not only enslaved individuals, but went a step further, manipulating their lives in an unimaginable manner. But what led to the emergence of this horrifying practice? And how did Brazil become a breeding ground for this insidious form of human exploitation? Join us as we embark on a chilling exploration of Brazil's darkest hours, unmasking the sinister forces that perpetuated a modern-day form of bondage. Brazil has a long and painful history intertwined with the institution of slavery. The country was one of the largest recipients of enslaved Africans during the transatlantic slave trade, and slavery played a crucial role in shaping Brazil's economy and society. Transatlantic slave trade, which lasted from the 16th to the 19th centuries, involved the forced transportation of millions of African men, women, and children across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. Brazil became a major destination for enslaved Africans, with an estimated 4.9 million individuals forcibly brought to the country, more than any other country in the world. The demand for inexpensive labor in a variety of industries, such as agriculture, mining, and domestic service, was what drove the slave trade. Slavery became deeply ingrained in Brazil's economic foundation. The vast plantations, particularly those cultivating sugar, coffee, and cotton, heavily relied on enslaved labor for profitability. Enslaved individuals were subjected to brutal working conditions, physical abuse, and dehumanizing treatment. The slaveholders exercised complete control over their lives, denying them basic human rights and perpetuating a system of oppression. One of the famous practices among slaves was breeding slavery. It refers to a specific form of slavery where enslaved individuals were subjected to forced reproduction, primarily for the purpose of increasing the slave population and maintaining a steady supply of labor. This dehumanizing practice treated enslaved men and women as mere breeding machines, disregarding their autonomy, dignity, and basic human rights. Experience of enslaved individuals in breeding slavery was characterized by profound dehumanization and violations of their bodily autonomy. Enslaved women were forcibly paired with male slaves or even their white slaveholders to produce offspring. Reproductive capacity was commodified, reducing them to an object of profit and control. Enslaved men, on the other hand, were often subjected to forced sexual relationships with enslaved women or coerced into impregnating women from other plantations. Breeding slavery in Brazil represented a particularly dehumanizing aspect of the institution of slavery, where enslaved individuals were subjected to forced reproduction for the purpose of increasing the slave population. Do you want to know about the law that ends this horrifying practice? Well, continue watching the video till the end, as we are going to reveal it soon. Breeding slaves were often selected based on certain desirable physical attributes, such as lighter skin tone or specific features, which were deemed advantageous for offspring in the prevailing racial hierarchy. Enslaved women, in particular, were targeted for their reproductive capacity. They were subjected to sexual exploitation, often forced into sexual relationships with both enslaved men and white slaveholders. Conditions under which breeding took place were degrading and often violent. Enslaved women were forced to bear multiple children, enduring pregnancies, childbirth, and the immediate separation from their infants. The law of free womb, also known as the Lei do Ventre Livre in Portuguese, was a significant piece of legislation enacted in Brazil on September 28, 1871. This law marked an important step towards the abolition of slavery in the country. It was declared that children born to enslaved women would be considered free at birth. In other words, it abolished the principle of partus sequitur ventrum, which had previously dictated that the legal status of a child followed the condition of the mother, meaning that if the mother was enslaved, the child would also be enslaved. With the introduction of the law of free womb, children born to enslaved women were automatically granted freedom. it is crucial to acknowledge the immense pain and suffering endured by breeding slaves. The intersection of race, gender, and the commodification of their bodies within the institution of slavery shaped their experiences. Understanding the specificities of their plight is essential to grasping the full extent of the inhumanity inflicted upon them and to recognizing the enduring impact of this practice on generations of individuals and their descendants.